Hello, 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 and welcome to another session of Let's Get Real with Mona Naidoo. That's me, Mona Naidoo. I'm an abundant living coach, a women's empowerment mentor, an inspirational speaker, a human behavior specialist, a philanthropist, and an advocate for humanity. Now, we are here still in February, and how's your month been so far? Well, just getting my screen better set up because you know how Facebook plays around with our screens. And I just wanted to touch base with you to check how you are doing before we get into today's teaching. You know, so much has been happening. I mean, I'm sure you can feel what's happening. You can see what's happening in the world. And yes, there are a lot of negative things. And there are also a lot of positive, high vibrational things that are happening as well. And I just wanted to let you know, it's okay wherever you are. It's okay however you're feeling. If the feelings are low, I would encourage you to find a way to lift them up. And perhaps today's discussion, today's conversation, today's topic will help you do just that. And maybe it'll even help you understand why you may be feeling a bit low or impacted by what's going on around you. And if you are feeling on top of the world or you are feeling good, then I'm going to encourage you to just amp that up to the next level so you can pull everyone else around you into that space as well. Because everyone requires someone to lend them a helping hand now and again. So please do let me know where you're joining me from. I'd love to connect with you in that way and just say hi. Let me know which part of the world you are and you know what's going on in your life. Now today's topic is a fun, interesting one. And remember, this series of Let's Get Real with Mona Naidoo is all about stories and teachings to inspire you to turn your dreams into reality. Because your dreams are worth the creation. It's worth the fact that you've even been able to have them because your dreams are unique to you. And we'll be speaking more about it sometime in the future. But for today, we're going to focus on connection. And by now, you know the drill. The question for today is, what does connection mean to you? So whilst you're thinking about it and what it means to you, I'm going to share with you what the Collins Dictionary shares about connection. Now, they had a few different meanings for connection, but I pulled out three pertinent ones, and you'll understand at some point why I pulled these three specific ones. Now, the first one, they refer to it as a variable noun. So it says a connection is a relationship between two things, people, or groups. Then it refers to a countable noun, which says a connection is a joint where two wires or pipes are joined together. And the example that was given here is, well, check all radiators for small leaks, especially round pipework connections. So just so that you understand what a countable noun is. We're having a bit of an English lesson here as well. Then it's a plural noun. Your connections are the people who you know or are related to, especially when they are in a position to help you. Now, in respect of the first definition, which is the variable noun, where it says that it's a connection is a relationship between two things, people, or groups. And I would love to add to that or expand on that definition, that it is a connection. A connection is a relationship between tangible and intangible things. A connection is a relationship. Can you see? I'm not connecting to my words right now. A connection is a relationship to the seen and the unseen world. A connection is a relationship between you and the Creator, the universe, God, Spirit, Source. So that's what I would love to expand the first definition, which is known as a variable noun, to. Now, how's that sitting with you so far? How's that fitting in with your understanding of what connection is, and the meaning that you've given to the word connection? Now, most of the time when we think about connection, we generally focus on the human connection. And I love Brene Brown's definition of, or her view on connection. And this is what she says. She says, I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. Now, how does that land with you? Especially when you think of human connections. Do we understand that a connection, a relationship, has to have some kind of sustenance, and there has to be strength, that we have to derive that from that connection? How many of us have relationships, whether it is romantic relationships, whether it is relationships and connections with our family members, whether it's at work or in business, in our social circles? Do we understand that our connections have to fill us up, have to expand us, have to take us to heights that we desire to go to? How many of us stay in human connections even though we feel drained, we are depleted, we don't feel good about ourselves? We may be not heard, not valued, not seen, and we still continue to stay there. Now, when we look at spiritual connections, I've got a few quotes here that I'd love to share with you. And I guess for me, when we look at human connections, we're looking at the physical, right? We're looking at our physical relationships to the people that are around us, to the people that we interact with, to the people that we have to work with. And then when we look at spiritual connections, we are broadening that definition. Yes, it includes people, it includes things, it includes the seen, it includes the unseen, it includes the tangible as well as the intangible. How does that sit with you right now? Because you see, sometimes when we think about spiritual, we forget that we have to look at the physical things around us. We forget that it includes the people around us. We sometimes get locked into the spiritual only being that, the universe, that big magnificent force, the creator that's out there. We forget that spirituality links up with everything around us. It links up with the seen and the unseen, the physical and the material and the spiritual aspects of our lives. So I love Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote about connection. And what he says is, it really boils down to this, that all life is interrelated. We are all caught in an inseparable network of mutuality, tied into a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one destiny affects all indirectly. Now, just think about this. When we think about connection, do we understand that I'm connected to you? You're connected to me. We are connected to everyone around us. And it doesn't matter where we are in the world. And I guess that's why, for me, when I understood the deeper meaning of connection, I understood that everything I do isn't just impacting my family, the people that are closest to me, the ones that are around me. It's going out, it's rippling out to everyone that is touched by what I'm sending out. And if you understand that everything is energy, you and I are constantly putting things out into that field, that quantum field. So when I understood that when I get angry, I'm putting that anger out into the quantum field, right? And someone out there is going to pick that up. Because if your protection, if your shield is not strong enough, then that's going to slip in. And then if I send out love, if I'm happy and joyful and generous and loving, well, that goes out into the quantum field. And then that touches everyone. But here's the thing. How the quantum field works is that we've got to be connected to it, right? We can't see it with our physical eyes, but it's there. And that's why I say connection, for me, the definition is our relationship to the seen and the unseen. So we can't see the vibration or the frequency of our emotions, but it goes out. It's there. It's all around us. Now, you know what I'm talking about. You've walked into a room. Sometimes you walked into a room and you can feel the tension. Sometimes you walked into the room and you can feel the love and you don't even know why you're feeling so good. So this is what happens in the unseen. We don't even know what's happening there, but we can feel it. And this is how we know that we are connecting to something. Because sometimes the word connection can be such a big word. It can be such a word that we don't fully integrate with, except for when we think about people or perhaps our pets, our connection to animals, our connection to the plant world. And like Martin Luther King Jr. says, it's all interrelated. All of life is interrelated. And the more we can step into that definition, we realize that we require all of life to be fully on this planet, to fully express ourselves, to fully experience this life, to fully be, to fully do, to fully have, to fully create the way we are meant to create. Nothing, not that little twig on the side of the road, or that little shrub that's growing, is separate from us. That little butterfly that's flapping away somewhere down in Mexico and creating some ripple, we're connected to it. Now, how's that sitting with you? And you've heard me speak about this before. You've heard me speak about how important it is for us to monitor how we feel, what we think, what we do. Because every action, every step, everything that we are is going out into the world. And what do we want to be in the world? We want good vibes. We want high vibes. We want positive vibes to be out in the world, because then the more that's there, then that's what fills our space. That's what we connect with. Because right now, the world has so much of negativity being filtered through everything, and unknowingly we connect to that. That's why it's so important for you to be aware of what is it that you're connecting with. Who are you connecting with? What words do you connect with? What messages are you connecting with? Because that determines the quality of our lives. You see, you may be someone who has really good practices, spiritual practices. You set yourself up for success every day. Now, unconsciously, you may bump into someone on the street and they talk about, like, for example, someone will go on about load shedding. And that happened to Vis and I recently. We went to do a food review. And there we were having the beautiful food. And then the person was talking about load shedding. And the person just went on and on and on and on. And you know how it is. You're sitting there and you're watching this. And then you realize, like, okay, can we just dissipate this right now? But the person went on and on and on. And even though we were able to shift the conversation, we still felt that energy was so heavy. And somehow we got pulled into it a little bit. Right? And then we had to come home and cleanse and reconnect to our truth. Now, when you think about some of the signs that you are disconnected, here are some practical signs. When you are feeling stressed, when you are anxious, when you are not very happy in your relationships, you are either complaining or someone's complaining about you, or you are feeling unloved. You know what I'm talking about, because what I'm sharing with you, I've had to experience that too. There's also money issues, either too much is flowing out or not enough's coming in. Or you may be a bit concerned that business is not doing the way it could, or you're not getting that raise at work, whatever it may be. You may notice health issues. And I guess the greatest way to understand that you're disconnected is pay attention to your emotions. Anger. Look at states of depression. Look at, are you complaining? Are you feeling or using language that is not of light? Are you speaking lack and scarcity? A simple thing like talking about how expensive things have become. Do you know that means you're disconnected from the frequency of abundance, the frequency of creation, the frequency of the divine? And another sign that you're disconnected is when we make decisions and we realize that our judgment's not on track. We either thought that somebody was leading us down the right path, and then we find out that, oops, we're in a scam, or we've just put money somewhere where, well, it's not for the highest good of myself and all concerned, right? In essence, our judgments being distorted. Now, how do you connect, right? Because we all understand connection to an extent, but have you noticed that when the world went into lockdown, what happened? We all withdrew. We disconnected. We disconnected physically. We felt isolated. We didn't know what to believe, what to trust, what to know. We didn't know whether we were even going to see the next hour, the next day. Everything was happening out there, and we were all locked in our homes. So that was the most recent experience of total disconnection, if I could call it that. But and the way it was imposed upon all of us, it was forced upon all of us, it was traumatic. Now, for many of us, we've had to reconnect because that was a total disconnection physically to the people that we would normally be connected to. emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I mean, it was disconnection on all levels. And I know it's been really, really challenging for many people, and that it's been a long process to reconnect. Now, how do you connect? Well, the easiest way is through an open heart. Right? And what do I mean by an open heart? You see, when we are sitting in the frequency of love, now love is anything that lightens your spirit, that makes you smile, makes you giggle, makes you happy, fulfills you. That's what love is. Then the more your heart opens. When you smile, your heart opens. When you give generously and unconditionally, your heart opens. When you open a door for someone, your heart opens. When you give someone way in traffic, you let someone come in front of you, your heart opens. Now, whilst we understand what makes our heart open, what is it that's causing us to go into those states of disconnection? Can you guess? I'm sure you're curious by now. What is it? It's fear. Because fear is the opposite of love. When we are doubtful, when we worry, when we get angry, when we get frustrated, we go into a state of fear. And that immediately disconnects us. When we feel unsafe, and just think about it, with the world being the way it has been, most especially over the last 3 years, if you haven't been feeling unsafe or didn't feel unsafe when all this started, well, then you're one of the lucky ones. Because when we feel unsafe, we immediately disconnect, we withdraw, we pull ourselves in. We go into our shell, we go into our protection mode. We put on these protective shields around us. And then we're challenged. We're challenged because we block all connection. And even though we may be doing our affirmations to attract good to us, we have those shields because we feel unsafe. And unsafe is an aspect of fear. So love fosters connection. Fear keeps us separate. And just recently, we've been dealing with so much of issues with teens being in crisis. And it is because of disconnection. It's because of disconnection to their truth of who they are, their truth that they are connected to the divine all the time, that you and I are connected right now. And we don't have to physically be in each other's presence to be connected. We are all connected to the quantum field. And in that quantum field, remember, we are all putting things in there, right? We are putting things into the collective consciousness, all right? And there's 2 types of frequencies in the collective consciousness. Now, we can decide which one we are connecting with. We can decide how much of the high vibrational frequencies we are putting in there. Or we can be contributing to the problem, or we can be contributing to the solution for a better, brighter world. Now, when you think about your abundance, right, whatever that may be to you, you desire something. Now, you have to be, firstly, you have to align to that frequency. Then you connect to it. Because you don't just think about something and it comes to you. Well, it depends. If you're an advanced manifester, then you would. But for those of us who've been in a state of disconnection and now you want something to change into a more positive state for you, you have to connect with that thing, whether it's tangible or intangible, whether it's in the seen or unseen world. You have to first connect with it. And remember what they say? Connection is a relationship. So no matter what it is, you have to, develop this relationship. You have to foster a relationship with it. You have to show up for it. So when you think about money, let's speak about money, right? If you would love to have more money flow into your life so you can do all the things you love, well, first you've got to connect with money. Being angry at it, complaining about the economy, the stock market, complaining about how much is coming into your business, or nobody's buying things, complaining that your employer doesn't value you. Do you know what you are indirectly doing in that situation? You are fighting with money. And if you fight with money, you disconnect. Just think about this. If you fight with a person, are you all loving to that person when you fight with someone? No, you disconnect. Right? You disconnect. Immediately the heart is shut. And what happens? We go into some aspect of fear. We withdraw. We get more angry if we're still interacting. It depends what we do. So the same for money. If you want to have more money in your life, you got to connect with it more frequently. You got to connect with it. You got to see it. You got to respect it. You've got to be happy when it goes out, and you've got to be happy when it comes in. It's a two-way street, you know. It's not just being happy when money comes in. We must also be happy when money leaves. So, for me, love underpins all our relationships. And without love, there is no connection. So if you are wondering, what is the one main ingredient for us to have connection? It is that thing that they called, what was that definition? They called it the countable noun. You know that thing in the middle? It is you and whatever it is, the other thing that you're having a relationship with. Love is that countable noun. It is that link, that junction that brings everything together. So if you can be and bring yourself into the state of love every day, now whether you're going to stay there the whole day is another question, but you can consciously remind yourself that, or the importance of you having to be in that state. Because remember, we are all connected. That is a fact, whether we want to understand it or not. We are connected by these unseen threads. We are connected in ways that we cannot even yet fathom, because we are all part of the collective, right? Love is the magical essence that brings all of life's creations together. And I want to encourage you today, for the rest of this week, look at where in your life are you noticing a disconnection? What in your life appears to be creating some disconnection? And look at what is behind that. Usually, wherever there's a disconnection, it's calling for our attention. And what I know is that whenever I'm disconnected, you see, it's easy for us to see when we're disconnected from the people around us. It's easy to see when we're disconnected from what we can see. But whenever I am disconnected from spirit, from the universe, from God, do you know what happens? The battery in my car goes flat. Because, you know, when you turn the key in the ignition, there's no connection. Nothing is swinging. There's sometimes not even a flicker. And that's when I know I've got to go and figure out what is the best practice for me. For some of you, it may be sitting still. For some of you, it may be slowing down. For some of you, it may be just taking a long bath. For some of you, it may be eating something nourishing. For some, it may be exercising. For some, it may be going out in nature, doing something fun, dancing. Pay attention. How are you being asked to connect? And as you know, the more we are connected to the seen and the unseen, to the tangible and the intangible, to all of life's creations, that is how we connect to our true abundance. The abundance that is there for each of us, that unique abundance that's there for us. So I'd love to hear, what are you going to do this week? How are you going to strengthen your existing connections? How are you going to foster new connections? Because remember, through connections, no matter who or what it is, we're just given the opportunity to share love. And the more love we get to share, the more connected we are to this amazing life and all the abundance that awaits each and every one of us. So I'd love to hear what resonated with you today. I'd love to hear what you're going to be doing to improve your connections and foster and create new ones. And until next time, ciao for now.